Have you ever wondered how far a person would go for justice? What happens when the system fails, and a heart full of grief decides to take matters into its own hands? Today, we're diving into a story that blurs the lines between victim and avenger, a tale of a father's love and his darkest decision. This is the story of Gary Plauché, a name that for many is synonymous with a father's ultimate act of desperation. To understand his actions on that fateful day, we must first go back to the source of his pain, to a moment that shattered his world. It was 1984 in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. The Plauché family was just like any other. Gary was a hard-working man, a devoted husband, and a loving father to his son, Jody. Jody was a bright, athletic 11-year-old boy, deeply involved in karate. He looked up to his karate instructor, a 25-year-old man named Doucet. Doucet was a charismatic figure, a trusted mentor in the community. No one could have suspected the darkness he concealed. Behind the facade of a respectable teacher, Doucet was manipulating Jody, grooming him in the most sinister way. This trust was horrifically betrayed when Doucet abducted Jody, taking him on a terrifying trip to a motel in California. For days, Gary and his wife June were plunged into a parent's worst nightmare. Their son was missing, and they had no idea where he was or if he was safe. The nightmare intensified when they received a call. It was Doucet, and the words he spoke confirmed their deepest fears. He had Jody. The details of what happened during that time are heartbreaking, a severe violation of a child's innocence. The authorities were alerted, and thankfully, Jody was eventually found and rescued in California. He was physically safe, but the emotional scars were deep. As Jody was being flown back home, the man responsible, Doucet, was also extradited back to Louisiana to face justice. For Gary Plauché, the thought of Doucet's standing trial, possibly receiving a lenient sentence, was unbearable. The legal system, in his eyes, felt slow, impersonal, and incapable of delivering the justice his son deserved. A storm of grief, rage, and a profound sense of powerlessness was brewing inside him. On March 16, 1984, the day Doucet was scheduled to arrive at the Baton Rouge airport, Gary Plauché made a decision that would change his life forever. He received a call from a friend in law enforcement, tipping him off about the exact time and place Doucet would be. This wasn't a pre-planned, cold-blooded scheme. It was a spontaneous eruption of a father's protective instinct, twisted by unimaginable pain. He drove to the airport, not with a clear plan, but with a raw, burning need to confront the man who had destroyed his son's childhood. As news crews gathered to capture Doucet's arrival, they unknowingly set the stage for a nationally televised tragedy. There he was, Doucet, handcuffed and escorted by deputies, walking through the airport terminal. The cameras were rolling, reporters were shouting questions. And then, out of the crowd, a figure emerged. It was Gary Plauché. He was calm, almost unnervingly so. He walked directly towards Doucet. What happened next was captured in a shocking piece of footage that would be broadcast across the nation. In a swift, decisive motion, Gary Plauché raised a firearm and fired a single, fatal shot. Doucet collapsed to the ground. The entire scene, lasting only a few seconds, was a stark and brutal display of a father's revenge. Chaos erupted. People screamed and scattered. The camera, still rolling, captured the immediate aftermath. Gary was quickly subdued by the police. He didn't resist. He simply laid his weapon down. His face was a mask of grim resolution. His mission, as he saw it, was complete. The legal battle that followed was as complex as the act itself. Gary Plauché was charged, but public opinion was overwhelmingly on his side. People saw him not as a cold-blooded killer, but as a father driven to the edge. They saw his act as a primal response to an unforgivable crime against his child. Letters of support flooded in. People from all walks of life empathized with his pain and his desperate act. The court was faced with a dilemma. How do you prosecute a man who, in the eyes of many, was a hero? The judge, in a highly unusual move, decided against a jail sentence. Plauché was given a 7-year suspended sentence with 5 years of probation and ordered to undergo counseling. The court acknowledged the extreme emotional distress that had led to his actions. Justice in this case was tempered with a heavy dose of mercy. Gary never spent a day in jail for what he did. He returned to his family, to a life forever altered. He and Jody worked to heal, to rebuild what was broken. Gary has since stated that he has no regrets about his actions, maintaining that he did what he had to do to protect his son and ensure that Doucet could never harm another child. Jody Plauché, the boy at the center of this tragedy, grew up to become a courageous advocate for victims. He has spoken publicly about his experience, not to glorify his father's actions, but to shine a light on the importance of protecting children and to help other survivors find their voice. He has expressed his love and understanding for his father, acknowledging the impossible situation his family was put in. The story of Gary Plauché is a powerful and unsettling one. It forces us to confront difficult questions about justice, morality, and the limits of the law. Was it righteous vengeance or a tragic failure of the justice system? There are no easy answers. It's a somber reminder of how one person's evil actions can create a ripple effect of devastation, pushing an ordinary man to an extraordinary and dark decision. This case remains a powerful testament to the ferocity of a parent's love and the devastating consequences of grief when left to fester without recourse. It's a story that continues to be debated and discussed, a raw and human drama played out on the national stage. Thank you for joining me on this deep dive into a truly compelling story. If this case moved you, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you appreciate content that explores the complexities of the human condition, please consider liking this video and subscribing to the channel for more. We'll see you in the next one.